Keeper of the Velocities. Chapter 8. Sophie needed to pass. She wanted the proper education Fitz had mentioned. She wanted to learn how the world really worked. So she closed her eyes, trying to relax enough to concentrate. She reached out with her mind like she had the day before. Braun's mind felt different from Fitz's, deeper somehow, like she was stretching her mental shadows much further. And when she finally felt his thoughts, they were more like an icy gust than a gentle breeze. You're thinking that you're the only one at this table with any common sense, she announced, and you're tired of watching Kendrick stare at Orally. Braun's jaw fell open, and Kendrick's face turned as red as his hair. Orally looked down at her plate, her cheeks flushing pink. I take it that's right? Alden asked, hiding a smile behind his hand. Braun nodded, looking angry, chagrined, and incredulous. All at the same time. How can that be? An ancient mind is almost impenetrable. The key word in that sentence is almost. Alden reminded him, don't feel bad. She's also breached Fitz's blocking. Guilt tugged at Sophie's conscience as she was Fitz flush red, especially when Braun grinned and said, sounds like Alden's golden boy isn't as infallible as everyone thinks. It's more likely that Sophie's exceptionally special, Alden corrected. Fitz also saw her lift more than 10 times her weight with telekinesis yesterday. You're kidding? Kendrick gasped, recovering from his embarrassment. At her age, now that I have to see it. Sophie shrunk in a chair. But I don't know how I did it. It just sorta happened. Just relax, Sophie. Why not try something small? Alden pointed to the crystal goblet in front of her. That didn't sound too hard, and maybe it was like her telepathy. Another sense she had to learn how to use. She replayed the accident, remembering the way she had found the strength deep inside and pushed it out through her fingertips. Could she do that again? She raised her arm and imagined lifting the goblet with an invisible hand. Nothing happened for a second, and her palms started to sweat. Then something pulled in her stomach, and the glass floated off the table. Sophie stared at the goblet in wonder. I did it. That's it? Braun scoffed, unimpressed. He needed more? Seriously? Give her a second. She's still getting used to her ability. Alden put his hand on her shoulder. Take a deep breath, relax, then see what else you can do. And remember, your mind has no limitations, unlike your physical body. Alden's calm confidence gave her the courage to try harder. She tried to think about the clue he was giving her. No limitations. What did that mean? Maybe she could lift more than one thing at once? She blew out the breath, pretending she had five more imaginary hands to extend. The tug in her gut felt sharper, but it was worth it when the other five goblets rose like crystal flying saucers. Kendrick applauded. Excellent control. Her cheeks grew warm with the praise. Thanks. Braun snorted. It's a couple of glasses. I thought she was supposed to be able to lift 10 times her body weight. Sophie bit her lips. She wasn't sure how much more she could handle, but she was determined to impress Braun. She must be stronger than she realized. How else could she have stopped the lantern? She took another deep breath and shoved every ounce of the force she could feel in her core toward the empty chair next to Braun. A collective gasp rang in the air as three chairs floated off the ground, including the one Braun sat on. Incredible, Alden breathed. Sophie didn't have time to celebrate. Her stomach cramped from the strain and her hold broke. She screamed as the goblet shattered against the table and the chairs crashed to the floor, knocking Braun flat on his back with a thunderous collision. For a second, no one said anything. They just stared in open mouthed and shocked. But when Braun called for someone to help him up, everyone burst into a fit of laughter. Except Sophie. She dropped one of the counselors. She was pretty sure she had sealed her future with that mistake. Kendrick clapped her on the back, pulling her out of her worries. I've never seen such a natural talent. You are even a natural at our language. Your accent is perfect, almost as perfect as these guys. He pointed to Alden and Fitz. I'm sorry, what? She asked, assuming she had heard him wrong. Fitz laughed. You have been speaking the enlightened language since we lived here, just like you did yesterday. She was speaking a different language with an accent. Our language is instinctive, Alden explained. We speak from birth. I'm sure people thought you were an interesting baby, though to humans, our language sounds like babbling. Her parents were always teasing her about what a noisy baby she was. She gripped the table. Is there a word that sounds like soybean in English? Soybean? Alden asked. I used to say it as a baby. My parents thought I was trying to say my name and mispronouncing it. Then they even turned it into a nickname, a really annoying one. She blushed when Fitz chuckled beside her. Kendrick shrugged. I can't think of what that would be. Fitz and O'Reilly nodded, but Alden looked pale. What is it? Bront asked him, still dusting off his cape from his fall. Alden waved the words away. Probably nothing. I'll decide if it's nothing. Bront insisted. Alden sighed. It's possible she was saying Saldrine, but it's a stretch. Bront's mouth tightened into a hard line. What does Saldrine mean? Sophie asked. Alden hesitated before he answered. It's the proper name for a moonlark, a rare species of bird. And that's bad because she hated the way everyone was looking at her, like she was a puzzle they couldn't solve. Adults were looking at her that way, but usually she could hear their thoughts and know why they were so bothered. She missed that now. It's not bad, it's just interesting, Alden said quietly. Bronze nodded. Troubling is what it is. Why would it be troubling? Sophie asked. It would be an uncomfortable coincidence, but most likely you were trying to say your name. You were hearing it all the time, so it's natural that you would try to repeat it. Alden said it like he was trying to convince himself as much as her. Well, I think I've heard quite enough to make my decision. Braun barked, showing all thoughts of moonlarks out of her mind. I vote against, and you will not convince me otherwise. Sophie wasn't surprised, but she couldn't fight off her panic. Had she failed? Kendrick shook his head. You have been absurd. You're being absurd, Bront. I vote in favor, and you won't convince me otherwise. She held her breath as all eyes turned to O'Reilly for the final vote. O'Reilly hadn't said a word the entire time, so Sophie had no idea where she stood. Give me your hand, Sophie, O'Reilly said in a voice as fragile and lovely as a face. O'Reilly is an empath. Fitz explained. She can feel your emotions. Sophie's arm shook as she extended her hand. O'Reilly grasped it with a delicate touch. I feel a lot of fear and confusion, O'Reilly whispered, but I've never felt such sincerity. And there's something else. I'm not sure I can describe it. She opened her huge azure eyes and stared at Sophie. You have my vote. Alden clapped his hand together with a huge grin. That settles it then. For now, Broad corrected. This will be revisited. I'll make sure of it. Alden's smile faded. When? We should wait till the end of the year. Give Sophie some time to adjust, Kendrick announced. Excellent, Alden agreed. Fools, Braun grumbled. I invoke my right as senior counselor to demand a probe. Alden rose with a nod. I had planned as much. I've arranged to bring her to Quinlan as soon as we are done here. Sophie knew she should probably celebrate, but she was too busy trying to decipher the word probe. That didn't sound fun. What's a probe? She asked Fitz as Alden led everyone else out of the room. Fitz leaned back in his chair. Just a different way to read your mind. It's no big deal. Happens all the time when you're in telepathy training, which it looks like you'll be. I can't believe you passed. It looked it looked iffy there for a minute. I know, she sighed. Why did Braun demanded a probe? Because he's a pain. Well, that, and I think he's worried that my dad couldn't read your mind. Worried? I guess maybe bothered is a better word. My dad really my dad's really good, and so am I. He flashed a cocky smile. So if we can't read your mind, it's kind of like who can? Okay, she said, trying to make sense of what he was saying. But why does he care if no one can read my mind? Probably because of your upbringing. She took a deep breath, reluctant to say the next words. You mean the fact that my family is a human and I'm not? A second passed before he nodded. Emptiness exploded inside her. So it wasn't a mistake. She really wasn't related to her family. And Fitz knew. He wouldn't look at her, and she could tell he was uncomfortable. She choked on the pain, saving it for later, when she'd be able to deal with it in private. She cleared her throat, trying to sound normal. Why would that concern him? Because it's never happened before. The warm, bright room felt suddenly colder. Never? No. It was a tiny one, but the implication it carried were huge. Why was she living with humans? Before she could ask, Alden swept back into the room. Sophie, why don't you come with me and we'll get you something else to wear? You had better change too, Fitz. Sophie hesitated. She should probably make them take her home. Her parents had to know by now that she had ditched school. Then again, she was already in trouble. Might as well stall the punishments as long as possible. Plus, she wasn't ready to go home yet. She needed more answers. Where are we going? She asked as she followed Alden out of the room. Alden smiled. How would you like to see Atlantis?